content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you. What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. And you know, I had to take a break for a little minute, man, to recharge my batteries, to get my mind right, you know, because you know, you can get burned out, man. And so I got a little bit burned out. So I had to take some time to myself and, you know, collect my thoughts and enjoy the scenery in the real world instead of the virtual world. And you know, I'm gonna say this, and it might sound strange when I say it, but you might think that you are engaging in a real experience in social media, but it's not. It is not real in the way that the physical world out there is real. In fact, if I had to be explicit and direct about it, it is the Matrix. Yeah, I'm coming right out and saying it. In fact, YouTube is the Matrix. It is a virtual social media platform. And sometimes you can lose sight of that, the deeper and the more intricately you're involved with it. But, you know, I digress. Before I get things started, you know, I always got to give a shout out to the members of the Green Gorilla channel. So let's do that now. Damon Harris, what's up, bruh? Thank you so much for your contribution. But let me give a shout out to all of the members, of which Damon is one. But let me get to that. So I want to give a shout out to The Face, Craig, Raphael Brown, Omni Americana, Deanne, Donald Watts, Barry Little, Ryan Jackson, hiphop.catv, Black Quidget ADOS, Coach DC, The Remedy, Kashif Caldwell, Infamous Chillin', I Am Black Man, John Reads Too Much, Nichita, True King 337, B Hillfire, Michael Cavendish, Urban Nomad, Barnolas, Kyle J. Sura, I'm Just Jules, The Book of Ronin, Ab Media 83, Damon Harris, Brian McMurray, Mr. Lou Meth, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Shop Talk Live, Mr. Heat, Afro Analyst, NEU, Ronan Martin, Issa Abdul Zahir, Sir Anthony, Deshaun Nolly, MLR, Charles Rogers, Black Doll, Universal 178, Black's Word 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, The Nameless Protagonist, Black Pill Ned Stark, Arthur Unknown, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Brian Williams, Kalon Jakala, Sherrod Martin, Ricky Dawson, Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shahid, James Washington, Hostile ADEP, Seven Coast Dojo, W Pierre One, Rogish the Billmonger, I Care, BGS Ivmore, Marvin Battle Jr., and Force Windu. Force Windu is a permanent member of the Green Gorilla channel. In fact, Force Windu was one of the first persons to become a member of the Green Gorilla channel. So my condolences go out to his sons, his wife, and his other immediate family members. Your force is with me, brother. And may you rest in peace. And you know, it really hurt me a lot, you know, to find out that that man had passed. But may the force be with you, brother. May the force be with you. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to the other members of my Patreon page who support me each month. Victor A. Coach, Dragon59, Supreme Ibmore, Adrian Hicks, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, NEU again, Momal, William Ruffin, and Asangwa. Thank you so much for all your ongoing support. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much, Mr. Heat. I just saw you hit me up on the Cash App. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate the generosity. I really do. Straight up. I can't even lie. Now, you know, what I want to do is change things up a bit because, you know, recently I've been kind of being circular in the kind of things that I say and the way I approach this programming and the way I approach my show and my content. And, you know, I just want to make it express to y'all, I'm a man of action. So when I see a problem, the pragmatist, philosophical aspect of me wants to solve the problem. I want to get to the problem. I want to rectify the problem. And, you know, I can't just talk and talk and talk about the same thing over and over without losing my patience, without feeling a sense of outrage, without feeling a sense of indignation. And so I'm an actor, man, and I'm a risk taker. I'm assertive and I'm aggressive. But sometimes that can get me into trouble. But I'll never change a thing because I'm too old to change. I'm almost 50 years old, man. So I'm gonna keep plugging away. Now, what I want to do is, you know, change the format up just a little bit. And so what I want to start off with is what I call the Green Gorilla News. So let's just get straight to it, shall we? Green Gorilla Channel, the news. Okay, so, you know, we got to talk about some things that are going on right now in the country. And I think one of the biggest issues that the nation is facing at the current moment is COVID-19. Rona. And the truth about Rona, she ain't no sweet little girl, man. She's not. She's a vicious virus. Now, the race against the virus that causes COVID-19 has recently taken a new turn. Yeah, you got that right. So you have mutations that are rapidly popping up, and the longer it's taken to vaccinate people, the more likely it is that a variant of this virus that can elude tests will emerge. Because you see, the coronavirus is becoming more genetically diverse. And health officials say that the high rate of new cases is the main reason. So just when you think you're out of the neck of the woods and things are going to start being on an uptick, you get new cases, new variants of the virus. It just seems like there's no end in sight to this. Not even a little bit. But we gotta keep pushing. We gotta keep pushing. And each new infection basically gives this virus a chance to mutate as it makes copies of itself. And basically that threatens to undo the progress that has been made so far to control it. And that's why they have developed vaccines. Yeah. And so the world is experiencing a resurgence of this virus, new cases, new deaths. So the Amazon city of Manaus in Brazil began administering vaccines against the coronavirus, which they think is going to provide a new ray of hope, as it were, for the rainforest's biggest city, whose health system is collapsing amid an increase in infections and dwindling oxygen supplies. So the Amazonas state governor, Wilson Lima, recently held a ceremony that kicked off the vaccination campaign just this Monday in Manaus, which is an isolated riverside city of about 2.2 million people. And a person by the name of Vanda Ortega, 33 years old, and a member of the Witoto ethnicity and a nurse technician, received the first dose of CoronaVac, which is a vaccine developed by a Beijing-based pharmaceutical company, Sinovac, in hopes that it will quell the advancement of this disease. But it's also having an impact on social events, because you do know that the Olympics are set to take place in Tokyo. But how can it take place if there's a resurgence in the uptick of this virus? So it's supposed to open in 6 months, in July. And the organizers of the event have no public program to mark the milestone, which is it's unparalleled. So they may bring athletes in, but they do not plan to have any public program to celebrate the initiation of the games. And there's too much uncertainty to even go through with planning for the Olympics. And by the way, Tokyo and other parts of Japan are under an emergency order because, again, of the surging coronavirus cases, with about 4,500 deaths that are attributed to COVID-19. So instead of a countdown celebration, the focus is on the virus and speculation around the Olympics actually being canceled. So then the question is, should they hold the Olympics? Should they cancel? This is where we are now. This is where we are. And this brings us home to politics in the United States. Because you have a new president-elect, Joe Biden. He's going to be inaugurated on Wednesday. What is he going to do about this virus? What is he going to do in order to stop the spread of this disease? Because you know what they did, the people on the left, they made all of these claims and accusations against Trump and how he bungled the whole problem related to this pandemic. But when you think about it, how is it possible that he can do that when it's the case that you're getting resurgences of this virus all over the world? And you know, look, I'm not the biggest Trump supporter in the world. I'm under no illusion that, you know, he's a man, and some of his problems with policy related to race have come to the fore. But I think he's done a good a job as any president at doing some good things for black folks. That's just my opinion, especially for black men. And if he hadn't had to contend with the problem of this virus, he definitely would still be the president of the United States. I guarantee you that. But, you know, if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. So I can't speculate And even if I do speculate, I could be wrong. But my guess is that if this virus wouldn't have kicked in, he would still be the president of the United States. And the race wouldn't have been as close as it is. But speaking about Joe Biden, and I said I was going to talk about Biden. This man basically plans to unveil a sweeping immigration bill on the first day of his administration. You got that right. The first day, the first thing on his agenda is to handle the problem of immigration. And what he hopes to do is provide an 8-year path to citizenship for about 11 million people living in the U.S. without legal status, which is a reversal of the policies from Trump's administration. So this puts Biden on track to deliver on one of his major campaign promises, which were important to Latino voters and other immigrant communities as well, but primarily to Latino voters. And this comes after 4 years of President Donald Trump's restrictive policies and his mass deportations. So he's providing one of the fastest pathways to citizenship for those living without legal status of any measure in recent years, but it fails to include the traditional trade-off of enhanced border security, which is favored by many Republicans, which is going to make it difficult for him to actually pass this bill. But that's the first thing on his agenda, first day politics. But then you got to ask the question, well, you know how overwhelmingly it was that African Americans voted for Biden? Where do we fit in to his campaign and his promises? Where do we fit into his bills and his policies? Because I don't see it. I don't have any knowledge of anything that's specifically targeted towards enhancing and improving the lives of African Americans. And why not? When we vote for them, 90% female, 80% male of those of us who vote. Where are the bills for us? Where are the bills for us? So, I mean, basically, you're going to have 5 years to get you're going to get a green card. And if you pass the background checks and you pay your taxes and you fulfill other basic little requirements, from there, you're going to get 3 years to naturalization if you decide to pursue citizenship. And I'm guaranteeing you most of these people are going to decide to become American citizens. But then the question is, well, what's going on with us? And for some immigrants called dreamers, the process is going to be expedited. So they're going to immediately get a green card if they're working, if they're in school. But what's going to happen for us? For us. I still don't see any evidence that anything is going to happen for us. For us. But it is what it is. But what he has done is he's shown his dedication towards the LGBTQ community, because recently he has tapped the Pennsylvania Health Secretary, Rachel Levine, and there's a picture of her cycling through the slideshow, and you should be able to see it on your screen. That's going to be his Assistant Secretary of Health. And this person is going to be poised to become the first openly transgender federal official to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. The first. Now, this person is a pediatrician. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how confusing it would be for a child to come see a pediatrician who, for all intents and purposes, looks like a man but identifies as a woman? And I don't, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. But at any rate, Levine is a pediatrician and a former Pennsylvania physician general. And Levine was appointed to the post by Democratic Governor Tom Wolf, 2017, making this person one of the few transgender people serving in elected or appointed positions nationwide. So, to quote Biden in his faith in Levine, he says, quote, Dr. Rachel Levine will bring the steady leadership and essential expertise we need to get people through this pandemic, no matter their zip code, race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability, and meet the public health needs of our country in this critical moment and beyond, Biden said in a statement. She is historic and deeply qualified. She's a historic and a deeply qualified choice to help lead our administration's health efforts. So, in other words, this pandemic is going to be led by a pediatrician, transgender person. And look, I don't have a problem with transgender people. Do what you do, man. But it's going to be a hard pill for some people to swallow. But this is where we are. But in other news, getting off of Biden and politics and the coronavirus, I got to talk about the Mets manager, Jared Porter. This guy went from a rising star to unemployed overnight. Now, just more than a month ago, or a month after joining the New York Mets as the general manager, Porter was fired for sending sexually explicit, uninvited text messages and images to a female reporter. Get it? In 2016. When he was working for the Chicago Cubs in their front office. So basically, ESPN has said that Porter sent dozens of unanswered texts to a specific woman, including a picture of his penis. Of his penis, man. And ESPN basically said it obtained a copy of the text and the history, and many of the messages and photos he sent were displayed in some report online. And about 9 hours later, he was gone. He was fired. The owner, Steve Cohen, posted on Twitter, "You're done." He's fired. And then you got to ask yourself, you think this game has changed? Do you really actually think that the politics have changed? The cancel culture is over with now. That the floodgates are going to be open now. The Red Sea is going to part, and black people are going to experience, some sort of Pax Americana, some newfound peace. I just don't see the evidence of it. But I'll say this, fellas, man, if a woman is not cool, y'all ain't cool like that, don't ever, even if you cool with her, don't send pics like that, man, to women, man. Because you are going to be in trouble if that woman decides to press charges or to make an issue of it. Don't send women images of your penis, bruh. Especially people you work with or people that you're pursuing. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. So that pretty much wraps up the news, man. I don't know what you think about these subjects or these topics, but this coronavirus is hitting us hard, and it ain't going nowhere, man. And it ain't going nowhere. Not anytime soon. And the Me Too and the Believe Her, it's still here. It's here like the groove, baby. The transgender politics is here. The illegal immigrant politics, here. But you have to ask yourself, where do you fit into the picture? Where do you stand? As far as I'm seeing, nowhere. But I'll be back, man. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I'm gonna get into the next segment, man. I'll let you in a second, man.
To do Biden. Now we done lost a damn vote. We done lost a vote. That's gonna go to Trump. God damn.
I mean, when you mention black people, you mentioning black women. So don't count yourself out.
No, that's not true.
Okay, we're back. I'm GG. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chasers. So I'm still pushing this campaign. You can go to Indiegogo and make a donation if you so choose, but I'm still pushing forward with it. Also, if you like the content that you see on the channel, please support the channel. I take everything and I put it back into the channel. So thank you for all my supporters out there. And for those who would like to provide support, please do so. But the next thing I want to talk about, since Black History Month is coming up, I want to take some time to talk about Black history and to celebrate some notable people. So let's get to that. So what I want to do is talk about what's going on this day in Black history. This day in Black history. So the first thing I want to do is I want to celebrate some birthdays. It's Trey Lorenz's birthday. He's an R&B singer, born in Florence, South Carolina. He turns 52 today. Shout out to him. Happy birthday, sir. And, you know, Trey Lorenz is most well known for the hit Someone to Hold and his cover of Jackson 5's I'll Be There featuring Mariah Carey. So shout out to him. He's 52. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Shawn Wayans, because the actor Shawn Wayans was born today in New York City in 1971, and he turns 50. Now, you all know Shawn Wayans, man. He's known for movies like Scary Movie, White Chicks. He's also known for television shows like In Living Color and The Wayans Brothers. Man, shout out to Shawn, man. Enjoy your day, brother. Also, on this day, Ralph Bunche needs to be celebrated because on this day, UCLA renamed all of its social science buildings to honor him. And if you don't know much about Ralph Bunche, he's the winner of the 1950 Nobel Peace Prize for his successful efforts to negotiate a truce between Arabs and Jews in Palestine in 1949. Yeah, he was the top United Nations diplomat, and he worked with the United Nations since its founding. And so he was 76 years old when he died from kidney malfunction and diabetes and heart disease. So shout out to Ralph Bunche, man. Shout out to Ralph Bunche. Also on this day, Wilson Pickett was born. Now, I don't know if you know who Wilson Pickett is, but he's an American singer-songwriter whose explosive style helped define the soul music of the 1960s. Pickett was a product of the Southern Black Church, and gospel was at the core of his musical exhibitions and his on-stage persona. So shout out to Wilson Pickett, man. God bless him, man. Shout out to Wilson Pickett. Also on this day, I want to celebrate the birthday of John Harold Johnson. Of course, you know, John Harold Johnson was an American businessman and publisher. He was the founder of the Johnson Publishing Company, headquartered in Chicago. And his Ebony and Jet magazines are, or were at least, among the most influential African-American businesses in media at the beginning of the second half of the 20th century. And by the way, in '82, Johnson was the first African-American to appear on the Forbes 400. And also, in '87, Johnson was named Black Enterprise Entrepreneur of the Year. So shout out to Brother Johnson. May you rest in heaven, my brother. So that's it for the Black history, man. But now I want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, something that I love a lot. And I've loved it since I was in the 4th or 5th grade. Yeah, I'm talking about hip hop, man. So I want to do a hip hop rundown and talk about the news related to some artists. So let's get to it. Yeah, so I want to talk about hip hop, man, and some things that are happening or occurring right now in the context of hip hop. So let's just get right to it. I want to talk about Snoop Dogg to begin with, because what Snoop Dogg has just done, he's basically started a social justice movement around the Death Row Records founder, Harry O. A lot of people know about Suge Knight, but very little people know about Harry O. And what they did was, him and a group of people have, for the most part, convened around Harry O to help him get a last-minute pardon from the outgoing president, Donald Trump. And this former Los Angeles drug kingpin was scheduled to be released in 2028, but now he will be immediately released from prison. So shout out to Snoop Dogg for that, man. And you know, some of us are more draconian than white folks when it comes to prison sentencing. We want to punish other black people who've done things that are wrong. But you know, I take a rehabilitative approach to punishment, because most people who go to prison, they're going to get out one day. And if they're going to get out, you have to have a pathway for these people to be successful. So at any rate, man, shout out to Snoop Dogg, and good luck to Harry O, man. I hope you can get back on your feet, and I hope you're in health, because you got saddled down with COVID-19. And speaking of activism in music, we all know that Joe Biden is preparing to replace Donald Trump in the White House. But musicians are coming together to present a public service announcement focused on racial justice. And it's called the Breathe With Me Revolution. And it's also operated in conjunction with the Black Music Action Coalition. And they're using a presentation to demand the incoming president, as well as Vice President-elect Kamala Harris to take immediate action on systemic racism. And all I can do is give them a shout and a round of applause for that. Because a lot of times we look down on our artists. I like to give them a round of applause on that because nobody else is doing it. Who else is doing it? So, you know, this coalition is comprised of as diverse a group of artists as Alicia Keys, DJ Khaled, Asian Doll, Summer Walker, Ty Dolla Sign, you know, Keke Palmer, Quavo, Offset, Mary J. Blige, T.I., Tiny, a whole bunch of people, man. Vic Mensa and a whole host of other artists. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to them, man. Bless up. Also, Nelly is a part of a viral trend. He's, you know, begun to trend on social media again because of some challenge that is called the Bust It Challenge. And you know what the Bust It Challenge is. Don't act like you ain't looked at it. But anyway, what the Bust It Challenge is, consists in is a bunch of people changing appearances and twerking. And the artist of the record is named Erica Banks. And that's the music that's playing in the background. But the Bust It song samples Nelly's 2-time platinum single, Hot in Here. And so for the most part, you know, Nelly was recently interviewed and he was asked about the song. And for the most part, he said, you know, keep doing it. I like it. Of course he's going to say that because that sample is resurging his career in a lighthearted way. But, you know, he's from St. Louis, man. I got to give a shout out to Nelly, man. And, you know, a lot of people sleep on Nelly. He might be a little corny, whatever the case may be, but he's one of the only artists in the rap music industry. Only a few have done this, have gone diamond. Sold 10 million records. So shout out to Nelly, you know. Also, I want to have a conversation about Lil Bow Weezy, man. Lil Bow Weezy. And so, man, recently, Lil Bow Wow came to Houston and he performed in a club. And so the mayor of Houston got upset with Bow Wow because, you know, there's the resurgence of this virus and people need to practice social distancing. And when you are out there creating a spectacle and you're getting a lot of people to come to a venue, then what you're creating is the conditions in which this virus can spread and it can mutate. So, you know, Bow Wow was a little defensive about it, but eventually he apologized for it and admitted that to some degree he was wrong. So, Lil Bow Wow, man, come on, bruh. Be responsible, man. You know, your career's not at the high point right now, but you still are able to draw a large crowd of persons to venues, especially small venues. Make sure that if you show up at a venue and you're going to perform or something like that, man, do it outside where people can at least distance themselves from one another. But you know, oh well. And the last thing I want, well, not the last, but one of the things I want to talk about is Lil Weezy. Lil Weezy is popping up in social media again, and people are upset with Lil Weezy because they are never going to forget that he stood with Trump in this past election cycle. And so, you know, the good side for Lil Wayne is that he may be pardoned for all of his gun charges by Donald Trump. And this is why, look, you can say what you want to about Donald Trump, man, but Donald Trump is getting a lot of people released from prison that are black, man. And he's clearing a lot of people's records. So you can say what you want to say about Trump, but I'm going to give the man some applause for that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, like, a lot of people aren't willing to forgive Lil Wayne because of that. You know, they claim that Trump is a white supremacist and he supports the Proud Boys, told them to stand back, stand by, and all that, which he did do. which was problematic. But come on, man, we gotta be honest, man. We act like race isn't a problem in this country, and it's not a problem on both sides of the aisle. I mean, people act like Biden isn't problematic for the impact that he had on black males in prison. We're supposed to just look over that, but we're supposed to pay attention to some comments that were racially insensitive made by Trump. Like, which has the larger impact? Prison or talk? Now, I mean, everybody can, have a conversation, or anybody can have a conversation right now about Trump's agitation of a certain segment of the U.S. population and how he incited, a riot perhaps, or maybe potentially he had something to do with this group of so-called, deplorables storming, the White House or storming Congress or whatever the case may be. But I'm gonna tell you this, man, and this is something you need to realize. There is a cultural divide in this country. And it is not going anywhere. And Trump is not the head of it. For some reason, people think that Trump is like the head of this behemoth of people who are just hateful. No, he's not the head of that, man. That sentiment is tapped into by both parties in the Senate, the House of Representatives, and by presidents. Clinton tapped into it, Biden tapped into it, Harris has tapped into it, all of these politicians tap into it. So you gotta be consistent in how you approach politics and how you approach politicians. You can't just look at one group of people and stigmatize them for actions that both parties do. I'm not gonna play games like that. I'm not gonna play partisan politics. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. But anyway, man, the last thing I want to talk about is Bizarre, man. And I don't know if you know who Bizarre is, but he is part of Eminem's rap collective D12, and he's recently been hospitalized for a mini stroke. So he's 44, and he had what's called a ischemic attack, and that's a small stroke. Lasts for about a few minutes or hours or so, and it often resolves itself in about 24 hours. But the outcome could be the loss of feeling or weakness in your facial muscles, your arms and legs. So I just want to, give a shout out to Bizarre, man. I hope you get well, brother. So, yeah. I hope he gets well soon, man. So that's it for the hip hop rundown, man. I just, hip hop is my joy, man. I love the hip hop community, and I love hip hop music. So, yeah. So I'm gonna take a quick break, man, and when I come back, I'm gonna get to the last segment of the show, man, and then we're gonna be up out this joint. So I'll be back. I'll be back. We back. I'm GG. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla Channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, with no chasers. And, the last thing I want to do is leave brothers with some inspiration. So I call this section the spiritual section. So let's get to it, and then we're going to get out of here. I just want you to know, like I've been thinking, and this is why I kind of pulled back away from YouTube for a second. Because I want you to know, man, that like all of y'all out there, man, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, because YouTube, again, to me, is the matrix. At any moment, my channel could get yanked from YouTube and I won't be able to appear here anymore because I'm not in control of it. I'm in control of my content while I'm able to be here on this platform. And I don't know what you're going through, but I want you to know that everything in your life has a purpose. I want you to know that if it's a joy, it has a purpose. If it has a pain associated with it, it has a purpose. And you could use a setback as a setup for a comeback. And you could take a sour situation and turn it into a sweet situation. I just want you to know that. And I also want you to know that you are a channel for creativity. You were born to create. You were made to be creative. And that's the difference between the human species and other species of animals. So create. And create in a joyful mood. And don't be worried about failure. Because failure in and of itself is not failing. The only failure results from not making an effort to begin with. So create arrogantly. And if nobody shows you love, show some love to yourself, man. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.